for just such an occasion.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'll peep that out. So what's up, man? Welcome to Splendid Radio on Farside TV.
Word out.
Yeah. So
Yes,
my co-host is a comedian, and he had to hit a stage tonight, man. He been on a hot one. He was in Austin over the weekend, and then he's got to go and he denies being a gatekeeper, but I always have to just jerk his chain and let him know that, hey, man, you can call it what you want to. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, he's in the mix, Jeremy Scipio. So yeah, I'm gonna wish him a well night tonight. But for those who are watching, I believe in giving people they props that I've come across being involved in this hip hop thing a little bit. And Dres, you know, I'll say he's old school to me, because he was my first Atlanta experience. See, I didn't go to the Freakniks and the Hole and all that kind of stuff. My first time to Atlanta was the tour that we came through, that we went, because I remember we had a tour bus. And as a matter of fact, I was telling you yesterday, it really, it ceased to amaze me, the people. See, I was the Far Side homeboy. They made music, and I was around them like a little bit, and like I was around them making a Bizarre Ride, but I was the homeboy. Like, I didn't really get into that world like that. So, you know, I've told the story a million times. Like when I first saw them, and I was like, maybe I need to re-listen to their music, and maybe I'm too close to it where I'm not getting it. They had did Lollapalooza in LA. And it was a place called Carson, so which was right outside of LA, whatever. Yeah, and on the side of the stage was George Clinton, the Beastie Boys, Fishbone, and Tribe Called Quest. And I was like, dang, they came over here to look at my homeboys, like they, you know, like okay, let me, you know, and so that was like that was a moment. Another moment was when we did that show in Atlanta where I met you for the first time. And it was a rapper by the name of Ludacris that came through with his homeboy, and he really just showed up to say what's up, and that like really tripped me out, man. It really, and see, at this time, this had to be early 2000s, and it was after he was hot, though. He was definitely hot. This wasn't the Ludacris that wasn't hot. This was, you know, early maybe 2002, something around there, something around there. And I was like, dang. He came by this little club, because we weren't doing a big, it was not a big club. You know what I'm saying? I say it might have been 600, or, you know, so it wasn't huge. It might have been a bar. You know, it was bigger than a bar though, but it wasn't like a big thing. And I was like, dang, Ludacris really just came by, showed up to just shake fools' hands, give respect, whatever, woo, 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 woo. And then he bounced out, and I was like, dang. I was like, okay. But at that show, and he did come in like a Tasmanian devil, for those old enough to see the Tasmanian devil. And he the Hennessy was siphoned along with a couple other little ins and outs and whatnot. And then he was gone. Right. That was a good one. Yeah, that's my Ludacris story. But I met you because you were like the MC of the night, like the host. And you know, for me, I never, like I said earlier, I never experienced the Freakniks. I never experienced this whole Atlanta being this mecca, it being one of the meccas where like college kids from across the country would all come to get together, and you know, I mean, it was a little bit of foolishness, but then it was a lot of unity too. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't a part of any of that. I just kind of heard about it. And so, you know, my family's from Mississippi. And so me coming to Atlanta, I was really expecting something country. Country is what I was expecting. Yeah. Not like out of touch, but I was just thinking country, but I saw something totally different. It was like, first of all, there was an exodus from a lot of places. I know people from LA that uprooted and went out to Atlanta, some for school. And then some just came to Atlanta because it was just everybody was like, oh man, Atlanta's popping. Atlanta, it's going down in Atlanta. We got to get to Atlanta. We got to get to Atlanta. So when I saw you with the mic, saw you with the beret, saw you with the Boy Scout little get down on, I was like, okay, we in the country. What's about to happen right here? But to my surprise, you were you really are an MC, like a master of ceremonies MC. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, dang. I was like, it's crazy because, the reason why I wanted to interview you, I feel like you're a part of Atlanta that people don't see. Like they wouldn't even know, you know what I'm saying? From a broad spectrum, you know what I'm saying? So like LA has like this place called The Good Life. They have this thing called Project Blow. It's like the underground popping little stuff, stuff that goes on and whatnot. And you had like really talented cats, you know what I'm saying, that were there. I went through to a couple of the Good Lives. I've been to a couple Project Blows, but the Blows was like after the Good Life. Good Life was more my, was more my thing. But I felt like what you were doing as an MC was something that, like, I've seen people try to host stuff, man. I've seen them, and MCing is a gift within its own. You know what I'm saying? Like man, put it this way. If somebody said, oh, Greg, you mess with the Far Side, man, I got $800 for you, man. We don't have an MC. You can pull it off or whatever. What people don't understand is, okay, for the first 2 minutes, you're going to be straight, but you got to go for a couple of hours, man. You know what I'm saying? Right. And it was very, so to the next step of everything, when I saw you, and I think we were in St. Louis. And so I saw you when you were just rocking 600 people. And then I saw you rock like a couple of thousand people and engaging with the DJ and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, dang, I saw it coming. So what I want to do is I want to go back and then we're going to come back to the night that I saw you rock those 2,000 people. And then we'll get into the event production and all that kind of stuff. So, when was the first time you heard hip hop and what was the song?
Ooh, okay. Well, for those that are out there watching, first things first, hello. I'm a native of Philadelphia. I'm a Philly kid. So for me, the first song that got me into this was actually My Part of Town by the Tough Crew out of Philly. If you're 35 and older and into hip hop, like, you'll know exactly what I'm talking. And from Philly, you know exactly what I'm talking about when I mention that song. I was like a Philly anthem growing up. You know, that was my gateway drug, if you will.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I've never heard that. You know what I'm saying? I've never heard that. I've heard the Sugar Hill Gang. I've heard These Are the Breaks, Curtis Blow. I've heard a lot of
there's always going to be people that try to keep it general, but I know what turned me on. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So I can't really speak for everybody else. I'm a cheesesteak tasty cake kid, so that was just, it's in the water. Like, that's what it was for me.
See, that's your cheat code. Yeah. I was thinking you were from Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know, and that was going to be part of it. That was going to be part of the thing. That's your cheat code. So you were closer to, okay, I get it. That makes sense. So when did you realize you had a passion for music?
Super early on. Before I started doing what I currently do, I grew up singing. So, I've always had music in my household. We're talking like pretty much since I could talk. Okay. Music's always been a part of my journey. As far as I didn't get hip hop until I was allowed to get out of the house. Growing up in my home, it was it was pretty much sound of Philadelphia. It was R&B, it was soul, it was gospel, it was jazz.
Okay.
That's what was, that's what was in my household. And then when I go to, visit my grandmoms and my great grandmoms, it's a lot of big band and things like that. So, anything from Benny Goodman to Cal Jader to, Louis, Dizzy to, and pretty much up from there, So I happen to have had the pleasure of having a lot of it growing up, and it's kind of made me a musical mutt, if you will. Like my influences are very wide and varied.
When did you leave Philly to come to Atlanta?
Well, that's a two-part episode. The first time I came to Atlanta was actually in '91, when I went to attend college at Clark Atlanta University.
Okay.
And I ended up leaving Clark in '93 and going back home. Aside from getting homesick, I had, off-campus situations and on-campus situations that just didn't make matriculating at Clark the best option for me at the time. So I transferred to Temple University in Philadelphia, and finished there in '95, and then got a gig out of college, and one of the locations was Atlanta. I know I didn't want to be in Philadelphia, so Atlanta was familiar. I've been trying to be an Atlanta resident since I was 12 years old.
Okay.
So and a second opportunity to do it. And so I came back down here on what I like to call my Independence Day, which is the 4th of July, '95. And I never looked back.
Oh, wow. So middle school in Philly, what was the poppin' music at the time? What was your soundtrack?
Okay. So during my middle school years, desegregation was a thing in Philadelphia with the school district of Philadelphia. So what happened is, it is really crazy experiment. I guess the adults figured, well, we'll take kids from predominantly white areas of the city and send them to inner city schools, and vice versa. So my middle school years were actually out in a section of the town called the Greater Northeast. So imagine it's 83, 84. The Sixers just won the world championship in basketball. Everybody is Dr. J and Moses Maloned out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to school with a bunch of white kids. So what I knew before I went was literally just a lot of R&B, a lot of hip hop, but like not hip hop at night, like, or hip hop during the day, I should say. Like there was a time where like hip hop couldn't be played on the radio before a certain hour. So we didn't get to hear any of that. A lot of that was like either, records or cassettes being passed around from hand to hand. So when I got to middle school, it was a lot of 80s pop, a lot of 80s rock, as well as R&B and hip hop and things like that. So that's what it was for me. Like I said, I'm a music mutt. So I got to hear, I got to hear Def Leppard for the first time in middle school, alongside Public Enemy. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where it was for me. I'm listening to the Go-Go's and New Edition at the same time.
Okay.
So, but I feel like those experiences and the people that help craft those experiences helped me out tremendously, music-wise.
Yeah, I have a similar experience. I went to school in a highly multicultural situation where we had punk rock, heavy metal, rap, new wave, ska, reggae,
right,
R&B. But the funny thing about it, the conversation that we were having before we went on, before we started streaming, you were listening to that clip that I was listening to with Tory Lanez, and he was talking about marketing and marketing dollars and whatnot. And it's a trip. We used to, like, really the single tapes were the marketing, or the maxi single was the marketing, because we get a tape and then we dub it and give it to our friends and whatever. And then you go to the record store and then you get the vinyl, or you may just get the single because you wanted to have the single. But, you know, we had tapes, and then, you know, it evolved into CDs. But it's crazy because these kids now, it's probably like, okay, I'm gonna email you the MP3. You know what I'm saying? Like, which the little bit of trouble you had to go through to get a duplicate cassette tape or burn a CD. It's like that extra little effort, and just not every and anybody that added value to it.
It made you appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's, I think the worst thing that the RIAA did was make the material safeguarded, in a sense. Like, you made it too safe. You know, like, I understand I get from, as I'm older, I understand the business side of things, and I also understand the cultural side of things. And, you know, the capitalist in me totally gets it. If I'm giving an artist X amount of dollars for their art and looking to recoup and make X amount of dollars, I want to shore up any and every avenue that's going to maximize my dollar. I understand that. The culturalist in me also understands that there are nooks and crannies in our society where you have no idea if you put a particular piece of art, how that could thrive and change things. Like, take, for example, Samir's Groove, right? It's a very rare 12-inch, but that 12-inch is literally the Planet Rock of all things jit and juke in Detroit and Chicago. You know what I'm saying? Or take Trigger Man by the Showboys. Single that from a group based out of New York. The song is literally the Planet Rock of New Orleans bounce music. That like, you say Trigger Man anywhere in the bayou, they know exactly what you're talking about. Period. But without songs like that, you're not able to get sounds like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine New Orleans bounce. Imagine Manny Fresh never heard that record. You know, imagine if Master P never heard that record. Like, we wouldn't be hearing of New Orleans the way we hear of New Orleans. You know, but if the safeguards were in place when we were coming up, there's a whole lot of shit we wouldn't have been exposed to. You know, I mean, hell, like, I'm fans of music that by right of this, I'm not supposed to be a fan of. You know what I'm saying? But because I had access to it via the Underground Railroad, if you will, the cultural Underground Railroad, I got to know about it and became a fan of it. These kids are this business has shut off these kids from the entire cultural experience, and we're seeing the effects on a societal level.
You know, interesting enough, I was watching a clip with Gilly the Kid this morning on Instagram, and he's funny, man. He said, what did he call it? Man, shoot, I can't remember what he called it, but
Mm-hmm.
basically he had a stack of fake hundreds about this big, and then
Mm-hmm.
he had a fake chain on and a fake rollie, and oh man, I can't remember what he called it, but he was just saying how like, man, this is where it's at right now, whether it's rappers doing it or whether it's cats that don't rap that's doing it, and then the women are chasing these guys, but like it's just all like a chase of just some counterfeit, just everything. And
Yeah.
I was like, dang, where you know, when I was growing up, people had fake watches, people had fake Gucci's, you know, just all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. But I'll say culturally, the difference was we would go to dances and interact with girls. You know what I'm saying? We would go to the mall to interact. And I think that part of like where this culture and where music is of like the music of right now, where it is kind of detached from that that interaction, which goes to the conversation with that Tory Lane situation that we are talking about and marketing dollars. And Tory Lane saying like, man, you got to have a good song, but you got to have a check too. You know what I'm saying? You got to have market, and you got to have marketing where it's like we were our own like we had people who didn't work for companies, but they would just hook up with the dudes who threw parties and hand out flyers, just like dude, like I can recall before people had the money to get flyers done that were full color, UV coated, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Man, fools would
Yeah.
draw.
I mean, you took the punk route, the punk rock route.
Yeah.
White piece of paper, Sharpie, Kinko's.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
Here's a flyer. Hey, come to this, come to that. Like, yeah. That hand-to-hand combat that
Man.
I like to call it. It's gone.
But you know what? I don't blame the record companies for not going to this new artist that has no infrastructure, and the record company won't give this new artist without infrastructure $250,000 marketing budget for them to control and go out and market it, because they would probably give it to a homeboy of a homeboy and someone who's probably never done it before. You know what I'm saying? And somebody just looking at it like, oh man, I'm getting this marketing check, man. We're a marketing company, man. We getting a check for doing it or whatever. And then they got all this money. They don't know how to throw a party. They don't know how to get a buzz. They don't know how to seek out the tastemakers and whatnot and get them behind it. But I'm gonna go back and then we're gonna go forward. But when you graduated high school, what did you think your path was gonna be?
Well, for anybody that happens to get their hands on a Martin Luther King Junior High School yearbook from 1991, you'll find my photo, and underneath it has my nickname, and then it has what my career path or goal was, and it was entrepreneur.
Okay.
I've been wanting to do this for a very, very long time. So, what's the saying? You have an idea, you write it down, it becomes a goal. It becomes an idea. You work on your idea, or you work toward that, for the fruition of that idea. That idea now becomes a goal. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it becomes. Like, I visualized that I wanted to work for myself. I didn't want to work for anybody. I can confidently bet on me better than I could somebody else.
Man, I'm with you, man. I know what I'll do to cross the finish line. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, like I might not have the brains, might not have the bread, but work ethic, I'm gonna give you a run for your money.
I mean, and we're in the information age, so the idea of I don't know how, that's like, dude, there's too many resources that are easily accessible.
Google and YouTube. People think it's free. It's not free. You got to look at all that advertisement, unless you pay that money or whatever. But for the advertisement, you can learn how to do anything. Like,
Mm-hmm.
or at least get pointed in a direction.
Mm-hmm.
So
Whatever. I mean, like it's when you say you whatever you want to learn how to do, like it's real.
yeah.
Like we didn't have that. Could you imagine if we had YouTube or Google growing up?
We'd all be millionaires, man. We would have tipped the
Right,
economy over, man.
right. You know, we had the library. You
Hey,
know, we had the library, but at the same time, in order to access all that information, we had to know what the Dewey Decimal System was.
oh yes.
These kids would die if they had to find out what the hell a Dewey Decimal System is. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's the way we had to learn that before we could get. We had to learn how to master those keys in order to get to the resources. You know,
Wow.
like shit like the Dewey Decimal System and microfiche and shit like that. Like it's all outdated technology, of course, but if we had a faster, simpler way, like you just said, there'd be a whole cast of millionaires out here.
Well, hey man, I'll be the first to raise my hand and say, hey, they kept knowledge away from me with that Dewey Decimal System. I mean, I played with it a little bit, but I never mastered it. Never really got the concept of it. Couldn't wrap
Mm-hmm.
my mind around it, and that's so crazy because if you didn't have the proper support system, and if you didn't have somebody that could help you, if you had to rely on going to a library and get knowledge, unless you was cool with a librarian or just like, dude, the information is there, but it was
Right.
well hidden behind the Dewey Decimal System. I'll say that.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna jump back. I'm gonna jump back forward because
Okay.
your knowledge of music is interesting because when I saw you, probably 15 years later, you know, when we were in St. Louis versus when I saw you the first time,
Mm-hmm.
you emceed that whole night. So let me break down on my side of the coin what this night looked like when I saw you and we came out to do this show with your boy.
Mm-hmm.
So your boy hit us up. He wanted to do the show. I can't remember how he got in touch with me, but he got in touch with me. We worked out the square biz. We're doing this show. Brown's over the social media, and he's just kind of like a hawk on it. That's his thing. Like, but somebody needs to, because I'm to this day I'm not like I hop on to, post for the podcast or whatever and look at dogs but I'm really not a social media like dude like that. So Brown was like, I want to say we were probably at the airport, and he was like, I really haven't seen any flyers or advertisement or anything for the show. So don't be surprised if it's light or if it doesn't work. So when he says that to me, and then you know what? Like 2 days before time, I had reached out to the guy you guys had partnered with or whatnot that was throwing what was the name of the event?
Art, Beats, and Lyrics.
Okay. I reached out to him and he was like, oh man, we got this down. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So with Brown just saying, man, we haven't, they're not advertising, blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking I need to get this deposit as soon as we touch ground. Cause I'm like, I don't see how anybody's going to come. And I think Brown had looked and saw that it was at like a little auditorium or a sports arena or something like that. It wasn't like a huge, we probably held about 2,000 or 3,000 people or something like that. It was like that big. So when we get there for sound check, we walk in through the back and we come in and I'm like, man, I don't see how this is going to work, man. And as a matter of fact, I went to Homeboy and I was like, yo, you know what I'm saying? We ain't going nowhere. We here. You got to take us to the airport. I was like, what's up on that other half for the show? And he's like, no, man, I'm gonna give it to you before you go on stage, man. We got this, man. We got a network. And he started running down all this stuff. We have people in cities and cities and cities, and it's different. He's like, they communicate through a Facebook chat group and they do texting and all this kind of stuff. I was like, man, don't get me fired tonight, man. Don't get me fired, man, please. So we go to the hotel. Oh, for real, for real. I was not feeling cool at all. And he was like, oh man, chill, man. We got Jack Daniels involved and all this, that, and the third. And I'm just like, I just couldn't see it. So we leave, go to the hotel. Driver comes, picks us up. We come back, and it's like 2,500 people line outside, wrapped around this place, every single thing. And it's so interesting that we're having the conversation that we're having about marketing and all that kind of stuff, and hand to hand and flyers and technology and all that. Because, dude, it like, unless you guys advertised on the radio or just did something, like I could not wrap my head. It was so impressive, man. I'll say that I can say that that's one of my top 5 moments working with the Far Side, seeing a promoter pull something off that by all means, I was nervous. I didn't feel cool when I was there at sound check. I didn't feel cool riding back to the hotel. I didn't get my chill on and just really get loose. I was like, man, you got to stay on your P's and Q's. The moment you guys get back to that venue, you need to get with homeboy and get that check or get that money. Or I can't remember if it was cash or a check or whatever. But man, me coming there, not seeing any advertisement, every single thing, I was on my P's and Q's. So from us getting back to the venue, us seeing how cracking it is, I see you on stage and you're emceeing. I don't know if you practiced the sets with the DJs that were spinning, but you knew 90, I'll safely say 95% of the lyrics and words to all the music, the R&B, the hip hop, the old school hip hop, whatever. And what you did that was so impressive, you engaged the crowd. You know what I'm saying? You weren't a dude up there standing, holding the mic, walking back and forth, or just ad-libbing over the DJ. You really got the party started, like got the party started, got the party popping. So that was it's crazy how you and what you do. From me seeing you in Atlanta the very first time, and me kind of not getting it and not understanding it or whatever, and then coming back and seeing you in St. Louis, I had to give you your flowers, man, because that was amazing. And then the production team behind the event, the guy had, I want to say he had either his wife or his, the woman that he was dealing with, he had his mother involved. He had like all these people. And when we left for the airport the next day, I got to see the whole team, and it was a traveling team of like 15 or 20 people, like 15 or 20 people. And I was just like, man, so how did you get involved with people that produce events on that level?
Okay. So my road to ABL is a little bit different. Jabari Graham, who's the co-founder of Art Beats and Lyrics, he used to work for Coca-Cola.
Okay.
As a marketing associate. And when he left Coca-Cola and took a job working for the Universal Circus. So when he decided to leave and do his own thing, he's also, he's an avid art aficionado. Like him and visual art, like that's his jam. He loves that. He loves that shit. And
real quick.
Uh-huh.
I did not lay it out proper. So I'm just going to do this real quick and we'll hop back into yours. So not only was this a jam with about 2,500 people or so, you had small art galleries of several different artists. I'll say there was at least 10 It was like if anybody's watching, think of kind of like a magic show in Las Vegas. It was like a convention. It almost kind of looked like a booth for an artist or something, but there was just like the dopest art ever, man. I just remember there being so many different I don't know if vendor is the word to call them, but
we happen to boast the largest public collection of African American visual art in the country.
I can believe that.
So, art beats and lyrics as an event, as a concept, it pretty much it's part art exhibition, part party, part concert. And he's been doing that. He started doing that in Atlanta in 2004. Okay. So, he was renting out nightclubs, and the first one he did, at the time I was actually doing my own thing in Atlanta, hosting events, and I actually had a weekly event that I would host called the world famous Mic Club. It was an MC and producer battle event, and in a cultural information hub, if you will, in Atlanta. And he pretty much came and we sat and we talked about his vision and what he wanted to do, and pretty much helped him kind of steer his way into looking for the right deal in the right place, make sure it got the right date. You talk to these people, you talk to those people, you build your community. Mm-hmm. And that was 2004. So fast forward 5 years later, it's 2009, and Jack Daniels just shows up. And it's like, well, we have this idea where we want to use your artist to curate packaging for Jack Daniels. So that's how the relationship started.
Okay.
So a number of artists that were already curated through Art Beats and Lyrics were commissioned to design bottles for Jack Daniels for a limited, edition, collector's item type stuff. In exchange, the Jack Daniels brand and the company that owns it, Brown-Forman, pretty much would, sponsor this tour. Like we give you about 4 cities and see what happens from there. So they put the 4 cities together. Things go well, and pretty much, like I said, as the times advance, the technology advances and data collection advances. Because at first, when we first started going out, it was a lot of just word of mouth. Man. Atlanta is one of those hub cities. Like, and historically speaking, Atlanta is a train city. Like, there's railroad all over this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? So the idea of having people come from everywhere to meet up in Atlanta was that great intersection to the American South. So, historically speaking, you fast forward, Atlanta now boasts the world's busiest airport. Again, people are coming from everywhere to come to Atlanta. Culturally speaking, there's more opportunity for people of color. But I can get into all the socioeconomics of it all. But what ends up happening is that now we're starting to catch a little bit of a buzz. Now it's, this show from Atlanta, this show from Atlanta, this show from Atlanta. And after a while, all we got to do is just do our program. If we do the program the way that we know we can do it, we'll never have to worry about being the show from Atlanta.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Without getting your recipe, because it's an immaculate recipe. Like, it is an immaculate recipe. how many of you guys' feet would be on the ground ahead of time? And now I know you had a partner in some kind of way with somebody, you know, locally or whatever, but around, like, would people from your team go down and get there? So
Yeah.
so
I
like
mean, so the behind the scenes people with the production pretty much would get there well in advance, you know,
okay,
find a venue, um, find the tastemakers, things like that.
that's the part. That's
Yeah,
the
I mean, you know, you gotta. I, I'm a firm believer of not of I don't like promoters that rape and pillage.
mm,
And what I mean by that is, you know, you come through, say if you're a national act, you come to a market and you don't give anything back to the local economy in a sense. Like you just come in, do the show,
make
get
your
the show.
money.
Like you don't foster nothing. Like
Mm,
there's no local openers, no local nothing. Like
mm,
it goes against everything I believe in as a promoter, as a marketer.
mm,
Um, you know, like hell, like when y'all would come to Atlanta, I would have to have a local opener to
mm,
make it make sense. You
mm.
know, those Far Side shows, those Cali Com shows, like it has to be a local tie-in to make it make sense to the market that I have to serve. You know, Live Nation has kind of killed that as an idea. You know, you've seen it, you know,
Looking at it now, just
right,
spoke with somebody yesterday.
right. It's like, hey, you know, well, you know, we know who the Far Side is, but we're just gonna send you to the market and you'll just figure it all out. Like, wait, but we need somebody, we need a local tastemaker to help us sell us. We don't live in these markets you're sending us to. We appreciate you, you know, like you're a you're an event production company trying to act as a booking agent with absolutely no ear to the street, no nothing. Like you haven't touched the people. You don't know who the hell to talk to. It's like here's this Magnum and a blindfold. This is you. This, you know what I'm saying? This is you. I I don't know what I'm gonna hit, but I'm gonna hit something.
Yeah.
And you can't do you'll kill our culture. That's the easiest way to kill our culture. You know. But
So, so tell me this: would
yeah,
you say social media has made it better, or do you think that people have gotten lazier with the social media thing?
I honestly I don't think people have gotten lazier. Here's the thing. I think this, in my opinion, I feel like social media is actually one of the greatest tools ever invented
Mm,
for what we do. Like it's a marketer's dream. Think about it. There's a platform that will allow me to have a product like this, and I can go ahead and put out a small commercial, and I can find out who's clicking on that commercial and know where they are, what time they're clicking on it, when they have a taste for it, what flavor they love of it. It can condense all the way down so I can specifically market to that person. That's social media in a nutshell. And with the whole word, hey, have you tasted this? This drink is incredible. Instant feedback. Okay. It helps the marketer, it helps the artist, but then you with any and everything, you're always going to have your cynics. You know, oh, social media is the devil, blah, blah, blah. It's the Illuminati. Man, if you don't get the fuck out of my face, like if I'm using this tool to live,
yeah.
like this shit's the greatest thing ever invented. There are people that don't know how to use it, and that's where the naysayers come. If you just take the time and just get curious and experimental with it, you can, you can create, you can move mountains with it. Like I don't have a problem with social media as you know, as a tool. I have absolutely no problem with it. I think it gives everybody this false impression that everybody can do everything. Mm-hmm. I will say that. Like, there's a lot of people that should never fucking rhyme words together at all. But because of social media, this is what they do.
You said rhyme words together.
Right. It shouldn't do it at all. But because of the age that we're in, they can literally sit in their bedroom, make a song, and just put it on the internet and get instant feedback. And there's so many people looking to be the first kid on the block with the new thing. That's never going to get old. They're gravitating toward any and everything because they want to be the first, not the best, not the most thorough, but just the first. And that is trickled down into so many other cracks and crevices in our society that we have this fucked up sense of reality. Journalists don't want to report the truth. They just want to be the first to report. DJs don't want to be the first DJs don't want to spin or listen for quality. They just want to be the first to break a record. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like taking, for example, like when Bizarre Ride came, where I'm from in Philadelphia, I was literally one of the first 3 people in my neighborhood to have it. Had the cassette, saw all the artwork from all that shit. That was a whole moment. That was a whole movement. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, that dropped at a time where you could go to a record store and listen before you buy. So you could go to the records, you go to a Sam Goody and go and, hey man, y'all got that Bizarre Ride to, oh, you mean the far, yeah, the guys that were on the Brand New Heavies album, those guys, you got that? Yeah, we got it right here, just came in. You can listen to it before you buy it. That's what's up. I'll be right back. 3 songs later, I love it. Go buy it, take it home, take it back around the hood. Who's this? This is new shit. And now you get to turn everybody on. Nowadays, there's no, like you mentioned about your co-host being a gatekeeper. There are no more gatekeepers out here. Everybody's allowed to storm the castle. Fuck it. Everybody's allowed. Whether the shit's dope or not.
That is a fact.
Yeah, whether they're brave enough to actually slay the king, it don't matter. Yeah. Everybody just wants a shot at the throne. And now this playing field has been leveled and everybody thinks that they can. Everybody thinks that they can, but not everybody can do it.
Well, the corporations make it happen, man.
Of course.
That's the I was watching an artist who kind of rants and rambles about all kinds of stuff. I just look at little bits and pieces on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And this particular artist was talking about an artist that we all heard of, definitely a great artist. And the one who was talking about her, you could tell there was like some jealousy behind her because the one who was talking about her was like, oh, she's mediocre. She's blah, 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 blah. She had millions of dollars pumped into her. But that's kind of what record company, I'll say this, I'm not against it. I'm not against the money being pumped into an artist if that artist becomes better and they're able to like their thing, they're able to kind of hone their thing in and get, because I've seen a lot of groups where, I know that groups where you remember seeing them when you were maybe in your late teens, early 20s or something, and you might even known them. And you're like, oh man, they're okay. They're the local people or whatever. And then they get a deal, they get a record company, they get exposed to some different people, they start listening to some different music, they catch the ear or the eye of a producer or an A&R or somebody who's seasoned, and they take what we knew as being a little better than mediocre, but they kind of had or whatever, and then they become like this thing. Like I'll give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't listen to his music before he popped, but when I look at Little Uzi Vert, I can tell that he had something, but he was exposed to a lot. You know what I'm saying? And he had the tools at his disposal to really, from what he was doing, to really take that,
right,
to
right.
like another level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So being from Philly,
Mm-hmm.
coming to Atlanta,
mm-hmm.
how was it to watch Atlanta become as prominent, other than R&B?
Mm-hmm.
Because Atlanta had, Jermaine Dupri would never not give him his props on that R&B. And Dallas Austin would never not give them their props on the R&B.
Right.
But at the time, it's like you coming from Philly, Atlanta wasn't looked at like, okay, so LA, we got NWA, we got homeboy that did bounce rock skate. We had our cultural thing.
Yeah.
New York, their cultural thing. Philly, songwriters, musicians, to this day. I talk to Yamin all day, all night, and the kids of songwriters and this lineage and legacy and all that kind of stuff. Philly's very rich.
Yeah.
You come into Atlanta. What was it like to see Atlanta really pop off? Because I'm sure you got to see it turn into like this. It was already a Mecca, but it turned into something different. What was that like?
When I got here, my only objective was to make it comfortable for cats like me. Like, that was it. That was all I came down here to do. I knew I wasn't going back home anytime soon. So, and I knew that I wasn't the only one of my kind here. Like, I know I'm not the only hip hop head I know. Like, not rap, not the bubblegum shit. I'm talking like beats, rhymes, like the holy trinity of the shit. I know I'm not the only one. So how do I make it comfortable? Let's start trying to bring in artists that reflect those sensibilities for that niche market. And that's what got it started. Now, as far as what's considered here the hip hop underground, because when I got here, it didn't exist. At the time, it was, it like Atlanta has this cultural thing, like roller skating is cultural here. Going to the skating ring is cultural here. Yeet dancing and things like that, like that's cultural here. So, when you got styles like crunk and snap and bass, like that's cultural. Like bass, Atlanta's crunk and snap scene is literally just the children of bass, of Miami bass. So the sound migrates from up north. So think of it this way. In the Caribbean, you got your reggae, you got your soca, you got your dance hall. Mm-hmm. That migrates to the mainland. The mainland, now you got bass. Mm-hmm. From Florida, it migrates further up north to cities like Atlanta. Now in Atlanta, it's crunk, it's snap, it's Atlanta bass, which is completely different from Miami bass. And you got to have a particular ear to know the difference. But the thing here is that when I saw it there are two breaking moments for me.
Mhm.
First is the '95 Source Awards, where Outkast wins Best New Artist, and Dre makes it the infamous speech, "The South has got something to say."
Hmm.
That's our battle cry. If that shit could get carved on the side of Stone Mountain, it would be on the side of Stone Mountain. Like it's for real. So you have that. Other cultural shift, Lil Jon on the Chappelle Show.
Okay.
Those two, in my opinion, those two moments literally changed the landscape here. Because now it's, oh shit, oh, we're being seen now. Oh, they're watching us now. Where before that wasn't the case. You know, Atlanta, before '95, Atlanta was a B market.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, hell, like y'all, you know, in order to get, say, a group like y'all at the height, at the height of what you guys were doing with Delicious Vinyl, in order to get you guys to come to Atlanta, you had to be part of a festival package. There was no, coming and doing a club date or a one-off. Like, oh no. You want the Far Side? You got to pay Far Side money. Like, well, we don't have Far Side money. Well, you got to put together as many people as possible. Well, okay. Well, we'll send you the Far Side and these two other groups or three other groups. Y'all put them all together and make a festival, and then you can get the Far Side there. But Far Side in this 500 people club, that's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
Passing Me By is fucking number 5 on the rap chart right now with a bullet. Y'all not getting them for cheap. Like, things like that happen, and it's coming into a market where that's not the sound.
Man,
you know. So like those early days of like bringing you guys here and Souls and Dell and you know, and like Cali Agents and things like dude, like I had to bust my ass to make sure that people knew who you guys were. So when you guys got here, it wasn't that one city where it wasn't like every other city where you guys would come in and go rock and you're rocking in front of nothing but pale faces for an hour.
This is a refreshing conversation. I'm gonna tell you why. What you remind me of, even even if you had nothing to do with the show that I was talking about, like where there was 600 people, even if you were just only the MC, I was blessed enough to know several people like you that didn't work for a record label. They were down for the culture. They were down for the people. And they really took the respect and put something on their back where they're like, yo, if this group is coming to my city, I'm going to scream it out loud. I'm going to make sure that some people come down here. If it ain't a lot of people, I'm going to make sure the right people come. I'm going to make sure they get greeted right. And that goes back into the marketing and just and like you understanding marketing and then how to deal with people and whatnot, which I'm sure by you making that investment, you got to know and you got to meet people and they got to judge you from seeing what you do versus you telling somebody what you could do, which brought opportunity.
Every market needs a Paul Revere. Every market and every artist needs a Paul Revere. The British are coming, Every fucking market needs one. Only thing is, every market doesn't have one. And like you just mentioned, like my whole deal was to make it comfortable. It wasn't about making the bread, although the money is nice. It wasn't about making the money. It was about making it comfortable for me. And like, I would say this, every market, regardless of the sound of the day, has at least 200 to 500 hardcore heads that are dedicated to that sound.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything else that springs from that is literally birthed from those 200 to 500 people talking. Outside of that, like, yeah, we played in front of 3,000 people. No, you actually played in front of 500 people that told 3 to 6 other people that showed up because they liked those 300 people that just told them to come out. That's all that is. It's not because it's hitting. It's like, hey, this is dope. I think it's dope. And it's dope for these reasons. And you should show up because I think it's dope. And then it's, oh, I'll take a chance. And they'll show up and the presentation's dope. The music's dope. Oh, I'm a fan now. Now I'm going to come back. At being an artist manager, you got to hit a market at least 3 times in order to hit, like, to be a staple, at least. So if you're not doing that, like, you come in February, you're off for, say, 3 months, you come back in March, you're off for about 3 more months, you come back in August. By the time you get to that August show, if that crowd is not tripled, you're doing something wrong.
San Francisco, I would say, was the city that I witnessed the Far Side do something. And like, man, people won't even talk about it. Like, and it's not just the Far Side. I'm sure other groups can do it. But say, for instance, we could almost do a show in between Frisco and Oakland, which are, about 30, 40 minutes away from each other. Mm-hmm. We could do shows like every 2 months. And the thing about it, like, we've done shows in Frisco where it was just like a 90% Asian, diaspora of people.
Right.
Then we've done shows where it's like hip hop, like older hip hop heads, more slanting on liking jazz and all that kind of stuff. And then we've done shows that's just straight the young, gritty 13, 14, 15-year-old going up, people, like an all-age show where their parents could bring their kids because the parents are like, yo, I want my kid to see what real hip hop. I'm going to make sure my child sees what I deem to be real hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
And I've witnessed it. I've definitely witnessed it firsthand. So with all this going on in the world and the pandemic and whatnot, one of the greatest things, there's 2 things that I'll say that were birthed out of the pandemic culturally that impacted me personally. One, the DJ Jazzy Jeffs and the D Nices being the musical selectors to just get us through a time in life that was just so way out. And the verses. And I didn't get into verses at first. Like, I didn't like all the first ones. And like, I believe there was a Babyface and
the production value was sloppy. Right? Yeah. We can call it what it is. Like, shit. Yeah, we both know it. Like, Timberland and Swizz know it. Like, yeah, the production value was crap. We all know it. We watched it.
I didn't watch it when it was like for me, I came in after they had hooked it up. Like, I had heard so many stories about the latency with the internet, and then the people trying to be cool and it just not working and the chemistry being off. So I guess I saw it after they had tuned it up, and then after artists saw how badly other artists had kind of bombed at it. So they're like, no, we're not going to come out here cold turkey. We're going to have a chemistry with each other, which I'll say the first real verses that I watched, beginning to end, very entertaining. Snoop Dogg and DMX. That was a good one for me. That was really good because they both respected each other. They both had hits,
Yeah.
and they could sing lyrics to each other. Like it was no beef. Like the
Right.
beef part is
Right.
something that came like way,
Right.
but at the same time, I'll say the Versus franchise kind of capitalized off of like beefs and past beefs and whatnot, and putting cats together. So with all that being said, if you could have your dream Versus, dead or alive artist, what would it be?
I have these conversations all the time, Greg. Okay. First off, Mint Condition versus Tony. That's
Ooh.
off top. The Roots versus the Fugees. Let me see. Like the Shaka Khan and Stephanie Mills versus pissed me off because Shaka Khan showed up drunk. that disappointed the shit out of me. But I would love that. I would really have loved to have seen Outkast versus Tribe. Like Tribe with Fight for Live, of course, versus Outkast, with Dre still interested in doing Outkast things. What else?
Oh man, you blown my mind already, man. You came with some pretty good that Roots and Fugees. I never thought about that. That's a pretty good one though. That's a pretty.
I mean, they're all friends, if you will, but you can tell who influenced who.
Yeah.
And you want to see it go down. Like for me anyway, I want to see it go down. Who else? Boogie Down Productions versus X Clan.
See, it's not fair. It's not fair. I asked this question to the wrong person, man. You know too much music, man.
I'm about the shits, bro. Like you know that.
That's what you do. That's what you do. I've never had that one, but I learned today. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I learned today.
Dude,
so tell me this.
I mean, shit, man. Like, there's just like hell, even on some friendly shit. Like I like to see the Monty Pythons fucking battle each other. Like just cause. Like I would love to see that. Like Far Side versus Souls, just because. Like that would be awesome. Because there are certain things, in my opinion, I feel like the culture needs. Like watching 3-6 versus Bone Thugs, the culture needed that. They didn't need Busy Bone acting a dummy, but they needed to see that. It's like, yeah, we're fans of this sound, and we want to see these people get together and do it. Like watching, like the KRS Big Daddy Kane verses. That's not the verses we wanted.
Yeah, that was a slice to me.
But they're friends.
Yeah.
So there's already a modicum of respect going into it. Like, and they let it all be known throughout the program. Like, Kane got his first big deal. Miss Melody and KRS helped him move out of his mom's house and into his first apartment. That shit we're not supposed to know, but we know because they let it be known. But the battle we really wanted was, of course, Kane versus Rakim. That's the one we want, but we're not going to get it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Hell, that could have been a 3-way versus. While you playing, like that could have been Yeah, KRS Rakim and Kane. Heck, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like that right there, that would have killed everything. How like
Yeah, the
shit.
culture don't want that though, man.
But
That's too much.
it's not that the culture don't want it. No, it's not that the culture doesn't want it. Mainstream media doesn't want it.
Yeah, that's too much. That's too
Yeah.
much, man.
I mean, think like shit. Kendrick versus Drake, or Kendrick versus Cole, or Cole versus Drake. Like,
yeah, Kendrick and
that would,
Cole. Kendrick and Cole would be
right, that would
amazing.
kill everything in sight. Everything in sight. You know, shit. I would love to see that. Oh my God. You know, man. Ooh.
So you being in the marketing and the whole media world and the event
Mm-hmm.
production and everything, I'm gonna hit you with the last question.
Sure.
What do you see the progression of social interaction in the next 2 years?
Well, I think it's my belief that like stuff like this is definitely going to become the norm.
Mm-hmm.
Like virtual meetings, virtual concerts, you know, we're going to become like the future that we've been bitching and moaning about since like 1990 something.
It's here.
George Jetson future we've been aching for it since the 60s. It's here now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, we got Dick Tracy transistor watch phones now. You know what I'm saying? Like we have literally computers in our pockets. We have cameras in our pockets. We have the tools. We have media tools in our pocket.
Mm-hmm.
So now, with that being delivered, there's going to be an explosion of a whole bunch of shit in terms of the way that we get. Hell, we're at the point we don't even call it events anymore. We call it content.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to this concert. You mean this content? You about to watch this content? No, I'm going to a fucking concert. Like, they don't even call it concerts no more, bro. Like, it's just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But like, that's what's going to happen. Like, it's going to become even more accessible. There's going to be more voices in the pool.
Mm-hmm.
You know, anybody that's had like one win is going to cash that in and could possibly live forever. Like the old adage of 15 seconds of fame is now an hour and a half long because of the internet. Like
Yeah.
your 15 seconds isn't up anymore. You sure you can you fill this hour and a half? I don't know. You know, so now it's gonna be a whole bunch of people scrambling trying to fill time.
You know what? Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be able to give my honest just dues. Another thing I love about Atlanta, the Georgia area.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite comedian of right now.
Mm-hmm.
A comedian that uses no profanity. Funny, mm-hmm. Very funny, does characters.
Uh-huh.
Country Wayne, man.
Yeah. Oh, he's killing it. He's killing it right now.
There's never been a comedian that could entertain me without profanity.
Yeah.
And just whatever. And it's a trip because he tells the same stories. He just doesn't use that, but you don't miss it. He's so good at what he does that you don't miss that.
I call it trap boy comedy.
Okay.
Yeah, because like when he does his character Drip, oh my God, it's hilarious, bro. Yeah. Like as far as comics are concerned, him, Tony Baker,
yeah.
Who else? Oh my God. Ha Davis.
Yeah.
Is hilarious.
Big Job.
Yeah. it's the voice. It's the voiceover stuff, man. It cracks me up.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
I'll say Tony Baker's the king at the voiceover, man.
Yes, sir.
He's the king of that. He got that.
Yeah.
So now, man, I want to thank you for tapping in with me, man. I feel like, man, we gonna come back after the new year and discuss a couple other things. But nah, man, this was a good one. You have anything you want to promote or give out your socials? And
yeah, man. Well, I just went and bought a nightclub during the pandemic. I don't know what made me do it, but I knew that I was going to get to a certain point where being on the stage every night was going to, was something that I knew that I did not want to do. So I bought a venue here in Atlanta called the East Atlanta Treehouse. We'll be open to the public at the top of the year. Art Beats and Lyrics is back out on the road. We'll be in LA in February during Super Bowl weekend. What else? Oh my gosh. Oh, I just inked a deal for my production company, Beatnik Media, to develop entertainment programming for the Miami Marlins. So if you're, for the upcoming 2022 baseball season, so if you're ever in Miami, you definitely follow the hat.
Hey, I'm gonna hit you. Hey, I'm gonna hit the hat before it's in Miami. I'll be hitting the hat around Super Bowl. Hold on 1 second, real quick, man. I got something. I never really shout nothing out. I got something I'm gonna shout out real quick.
Word up. For all of y'all that are out here listening and watching, man, thank you so very much for tuning in. I know you didn't have to, but I appreciate y'all for your continued support of the Far Side through all these years. You guys are definitely some true fans, and I know that they appreciate y'all, and I appreciate y'all as well.
All right. Well, man, one of my own personal ventures, man, about maybe 6 years ago, I started getting into old English bulldogs, not English bulldogs, but oldies, which they're taller. They're like a pocket American bulldog.
Right.
And we do have these Christmas puppies cracking. You know what I'm saying? We got the Merle on them. You know what I'm saying? We got the blue Merles. We got a couple Brindle. So yeah, man, anybody watching, man, you want to get these hot Christmas pups on a platter, man. You could have a little, you know what I'm saying? You could be the greatest gift giver ever. You could be the greatest gift
on the platter. I love it.
Yeah, man. So now, man, thanks for tapping in. We're gonna get together after the new year.
Most definitely.
I'm definitely gonna pick your brain on a couple of things though, because it was a blessing that I was listening to that Tory Lanez while we were getting everything together, because you just gave me a whole perspective on marketing and whatnot that was just totally different from where my mind was. So now, man, thank you for tapping in. This has been Splendid Radio on Far Side TV.
No doubt. Peace, peace.